Live. Welcome. Our Christian Minson here with our weekly Facebook Live from Rythmia, Costa Rica. Just going to give a few moments for some people to get on this Facebook Live. So if you're listening to the recording, things will start shortly. I'm basically talking about getting better at feeling today, getting better at feeling with breath work. We got two people. Jason, hi there, Jason. Loyal fan of Rythmia and been tuning into this regularly. I would love to see that, Jason. Paul, hey, Paul. Excellent to see you too. So it's funny why it tells me a few people, hey, Jason, excellent. We got 8 on the call. It only tells me, I wonder if it tells me who joins, basically people who are friends of mine show up. But if you're here, go ahead and, hey, Christy there, excellent. And Dave, Lori, Paul, yeah, excellent. Hi, Lori, hi, Paul. And hi, everyone. Our Christian Minson here, resident breathwork facilitator and trainer at Rythmia. And just stalling for time while we see if we can get a few more folks on the call. Shane, let's see. Still, we got this nice setup, but I still need my glasses a little bit. Shane, hey, Shane. Hey, Jennifer. Hey, Megan. Coming in May. So excited for the breath work. Excellent. When in May? Megan, I'd like to know that. I'm going to be gone the end of May. We'll still have Nicole here doing the breath work, but I'd love it if I can see you. Robert, hey, Megan, May 6th, excellent. So I will be there. I'll be here with you. All right, so hey, this is good. All right, I'm starting to feel a little more professional here. We got, you can see the Facebook Live studio, the Rythmia studio is finally set up. We got dedicated internet for this studio so that hopefully none of the connection issues that I've experienced in the past happen again. As you can see, very beautiful environment. I feel like I'm in a real studio. You know, we got lighting over here. We got natural lighting. Got a little set. I've the Rythmia Live sign in the background, the phone number to call if you are interested in Rythmia, if you want to find out more about the exciting programs here. And of course, that's what I'm here to do, is to help you, make that decision ultimately to come here. My name's Christian Minson, the resident breath worker here at Rythmia, doing the breathwork program along with Nicole Rager. And I would also like to say that I am contributing author to the book Align, Expand, and Succeed, Shifting the Paradigm of Entrepreneurial Success. This is all about the emerging, it's been emerging for the last 5 or 6, 7 years, field of conscious business, merging consciousness with business. And I bring this up because it's finally on sale here at Rythmia. So come on out and get the book. While I'm waiting for a couple more people to show up, I'll also show you this, Shit the Moon Said. This is Jerry Powell's book. Jerry, the CEO, owner here of Rythmia, and this is his book just off the presses. I have my own, let's see if you can get this, autographed copy there. So I'm very proud of that. As you can see, I'm already midway through it. Great stuff. The story of Rythmia, the story of Jerry, and how his transformation took place to ultimately become a new person and ultimately create Rythmia, all dictated by his conversations with the moon, which is who he visits and speaks with when he goes on his medicine journeys. So let's see if I can, I just had that on. And I was just getting all the comments. Whoop, get the sound off there. Christy, hi, excellent. Love the book. Kim, you talking about Jerry's book, I'm assuming. You probably haven't read the book I'm part of. But sign is not backwards, too. Yeah, great. We're high tech here now, and hopefully there's no internet interruptions. It is a nice, lovely, warm day here at Rythmia. We got a little bit of wind. It is more or less, we've been in the windy season, though I must say for being the windy season, it hasn't been too windy. The windy season is the season of transformation. A lot of energy gets moving, and we're coming off every Friday on Facebook Live. Comes off our Thursday evening ceremony, which is the big plant medicine ceremony done in the Colombian tradition, and it's one of the big ones. One of the what can I say? Just a beautiful ceremony. I didn't participate last night. I held the space outside the ceremony, but all good here. So, nice necklace. Thank you, Jason. So I made this myself, actually. One of my many trades talents is jewelry making. So thanks on that. Lori, waiting for your copy of the book to arrive. Excellent. Glad to see people ordering it, and it's sure to hit the bestseller list, which is going to make Rythmia a very popular place. It's already very popular. The first 3 going into 4 weeks of January now, all pretty much at capacity. So we're having a banner January, and we're going to get even more busy as the year goes on. All right, so we got about 33 people in, 37 people. We're adding more, 40. Excellent. That's great. More people, 50 all of a sudden. Great. So my stall tactics have been worthwhile to help us get a few more people on. Again, one last time, I'm R. Christian Minson, breathworker, facilitator, senior trainer for the Transformational Breath Foundation, and resident here at Rythmia, teaching the breath work, doing all sorts of tasks here, really. One of them is to meet and greet all of you through Facebook Live. And so if you have any questions, have any comments, just put them in on my side, it's right here, the comment bar. I'm happy. I like this to be an interactive process. So let's talk together. If you got any questions about Rythmia, about breathwork, about the content I'm saying, anything, we're all good. If you also, in that, as you open the comment field, you'll see thumbs up, hearts, and things that you can send me across the screen when you agree or like what I'm saying. If you don't like what I'm saying, send a meanie face and make some comments. I'm willing to have a little debate here if something's not quite in alignment with what you believe or think. So somebody's in alignment, though. A couple people there. Excellent. So let's get into it. Today, the topic is getting better at feeling with breath work. And we've reached 100 people. Excellent. That's a great place to start. Getting better at feeling. So really this is about how breath work can greatly improve your emotional balance and your relationship with your emotions. Last week, this is kind of piggybacking off last week. Last week we were examining the physical dimension of the breathwork process, and this week, roughly, we're getting into the emotional dimension. We mentioned a little bit of that last week, since the emotional dimension does have an effect on our physical performance. But this week is really about our feeling nature, and how breathwork really affects that. The title, Getting Better at Feeling, really comes borrowed from the author Michael Brown, who wrote the book The Presence Process, one of my favorite books and one of my favorite processes to go through. It is a breath-oriented process. And when he's talking about that process in particular, he said, consider that it's not about feeling better, which is what most of us come to try to do, to feel better, to get away from some feelings and move towards others. But it's really about getting better at feeling. So let's define those two. So, feeling better in this context, or let me say this. So he says this about the presence process. I borrowed this really to say about breath work and about really life in general is not so much about feeling better, but about getting better at feeling. And how I define feeling better is really the way that we compulsively want to feel better is that we tend to run from certain emotions that, sadness, anger, depression, these kind of feelings that we don't like, and so we try to run away from them. We push them away. We hide from them. And then other feelings we try to hoard. So it's like we're emotionally imbalanced, where we're running from some emotions and we're trying to hoard other emotions. And that really is a recipe for disaster, as we'll get into. Now, getting better at feeling is really about embracing all of our feelings, right? Learning that our feelings are like, I sometimes use the analogy, an artist's palette. So artist has all the colors, red, green, yellow, blue, indigo, violet, plus black and white. If we're going for only happiness and trying to eliminate sadness, it's like painting with just yellow and leaving the other colors off of your painting. There is a style called monochromatic painting, so you can do that. But if you continue to paint, with just yellow, it gets kind of boring. And so this is the analogy of life. We try to stay with one emotion. We really aren't embracing the full spectrum of color and flavor in life. What we want to recognize is that each emotion that we have in our life is valuable to us. Each emotion is basically a messenger bringing us a message, something about ourselves, something. For instance, anger. When we have anger, it often means that a value close to our heart has been disturbed or has been violated. And this is valuable information, because then we can do something about it. Anger is one of the best emotions for springing us into action, but we want to harness that anger and then move into action with it. We're not here to just express that anger in an explosive sort of way that ends up hurting ourselves and others. This is a presentation on breathwork. Yes, Wendy, it is. And why do you wear a garnet and how much? I'm not wearing any garnets. And there, Janaea, hi there. Sent here saying there was a couch for Are you serious? Not again, not the couch thing again. No couches for sale here, so sorry. Anyway, back to this. So hopefully we get that. Each emotion has value for us, and as we learn to get better at feeling, we learn to field all of our emotions and be present to all of them. So why is this important? What's really the benefits of that? Thank you, Heloisa, is it? Telling me about the analogy. I'm assuming about the painter and the painting colors. But why is the benefits of this, of getting better at feeling? Really, one is that it gives us a greater relationship to our emotions. We're no longer running from certain emotions in our lives and no longer hoarding other emotions, but we're learning how to have a relationship with all of our emotions. Less resistance to some emotions, and that's what running away is, or trying to keep emotions at bay. it's the resistance in our lives that causes the pain in our experience, that causes most of the pain in our experience anyway. If we were to have an experience and not resist it, just flow with it, the pain is relatively minimal compared with when we try to resist something. It's in that resistance that all the pain comes from. So our life, when we get better at feeling, our life actually becomes less painful. When we get better at feeling, our emotions tend to come into balance. Like I said, if we're hoarding some emotions and we're pushing away others, our emotional teeter-totter goes out of balance, and that causes problems in our lives. So as our emotions balance, we feel more in balance. And and ultimately, as we get better at feeling, we start to understand, we start to read into the emotions that we're having and the message that they're delivering us. So I mentioned anger. Sadness is usually an emotion that shows that we care, that that there's a deep-seated caring for something. And when we recognize that, we can actually see the beauty in the sadness versus the negative side of it, so to speak. All right, so in this, just checking in to see any more comments. In this, so how do we do this? What breath work is really designed to help us access stored emotional energy and help us release it or integrate it, we like to say. The Debbie Garcia just got on, good friend now, was recently interviewed by her. She's grateful for me, I'm grateful for you. Thank you, Debbie. So a little background. When we have an emotion we don't like, how do we usually deal with it? We tense up, right? We tense. We try not to receive it by holding back. And what happens is we lock up that emotional energy. We lock it in our physical field, and we actually have to store it somewhere in our physical field. And that ends up being stored in our body. And I've done Facebook Lives about the emotional body map, where we store these different emotions. And we'll talk about that sometime in the future again, too. But so we store these emotions, and then our body gets tense because we're holding on to it, trying to lock them down. The other thing is, where we store those emotions, we tend not to breathe, because the breath activates this emotional energy. And when we lock down an emotion, we don't want to experience it, generally speaking. So we're say if you're holding on your emotions in your belly or your gut, you're going to breathe very shallow, because if you're to breathe a full breath, that energy is going to activate, and those emotions are going to come to the surface. Now, in our unconscious behaviors, we don't want that to happen. But what I'm telling you today, as we explore breathwork, is that's actually the good news. When we're consciously working with the breath, we want to activate that energy. We want to bring it to the surface. So, so we store this energy. It's stored in different places. The breath work activates this energy. And, Jerry here uses the analogy of, like, when we store an emotion, it's like sealing that emotion in a plastic bag and stuffing it down. So as we go through life, we collect all these plastic bags full of emotional energy. The problem is that starts to weigh us down. Like life, I make the analogy, it's like carrying suitcases of rocks, and every kind of emotion that we store is like adding another rock to the suitcase. So imagine if you're carrying 2 suitcases full of 50 pounds worth of rocks each, and you had to go through life hauling all these rocks around. Well, then you wonder at the end of the day why you feel so tired, why everything feels like such a chore, why life is just hard. It's because you're carrying around 100 pounds worth of rocks, the equivalent of emotional energy that's draining your energy. So we're really looking to bring that energy up to this breathwork process and release it, or like we like to say, integrate that energy. Allow it to allow us to take away the negative shell and recycle the pure, energetic core of that emotion. So, there's basically three ways that our emotions are going to, that the stored energy is going to show itself. One of the ways is that it's going to leak. So we've got these plastic bags filled with this emotional energy. They're going to leak eventually. Sigmund Freud said, unexpressed emotions never die. They just reemerge in darker and uglier ways. Now think about that for a second. It's like we don't want to feel this emotion originally, so we hold on to it. And it's like it gets all moldy and crusty, and then it comes back out and leaks out somehow. And now not only is it the original emotion, but with all the mold and crust in there, so it comes out in darker and uglier ways. One of the ways I used to experience this in my life, and one of the reasons I got interested in this whole process, was that I was very moody. Moods are one of those darker, uglier ways that this repressed or suppressed emotional energy comes up and then gets expressed in ways that aren't congruent with the environment or the situation you're in. So one of the ways that this energy is going to get expressed is it's going to leak out. That's not a good way to express it. A second way, also not a good way, is the straw that breaks the camel's back scenario. You're stuffing plastic bag of anger, more anger, more anger, more anger. Finally, you're so full of this anger energy that you're one day in the supermarket walking down with your supermarket cart. You turn the corner and somebody bangs into you, and then you just lay into them and with your gaze demolish them to a pile of powder. It's like, did that little bump warrant all that anger? No. What happened was that finally broke the dam, so to speak, and all that anger that you've been storing comes out. Now this can be, especially with anger, can be very detrimental to yourself and your health, and can be detrimental to others. You hear stories all the time in the news of people who have flipped out because their anger finally got triggered, and it wasn't just the anger in that situation, but all the angers for often years being stored finally comes out, and then terrible things can happen, including people getting killed. So it can leak out, the straw can break the camel's back, or we can use some kind of techniques to help move this energy out intelligently. I call this the pressure cooker style of working. Imagine a pressure cooker. Everybody know what a pressure cooker is. It's a pot, the lid, and you turn up pressure and it cooks. It cooks the food with a certain amount of pressure. And this is a great analogy for life, because life needs a certain amount of pressure. We're activated by a certain amount of stress and pressure in our lives. And that really helps engage us in life. It keeps us actively pursuing the things that are important to our evolution. If you don't have enough pressure, you're basically a couch potato, sitting there watching TV all the time, not really getting out there and getting engaged in life. Of course, too much pressure, too much stress, starts to mess with the system. As we say, with a pressure cooker, the pressure builds up too much, it's going to blow. And that's kind of like the same analogy as the straw that breaks the camel's back. The pressure cooker gets too full and there's no pressure release. The pressure release valve is faulty, that thing's going to blow up. But if we got a pressure cooker that's working well, it's got a little valve. And as the pressure builds beyond the adequate amount, the valve pops open and pressure is released. And so this is essentially what we're doing with the breath work. We're learning to release the pressure of these stored emotions and in an intelligent way, in a beneficial way. So we're not hurting others, so we're not leaking out, but intelligently processing and integrating this energy. Let's see. So good for me right now. Roberta, excellent, Roberta. So Shirash was saying where to get. Well, what I'm talking about is breathwork, breathwork techniques. Where you can get them is right here at Rythmia retreat in Costa Rica, and this is why I'm putting on these Facebook Lives. It's really to get you interested in Rythmia and all the programs that happen here. You know, it's a great place that has wonderful classes, thought leaders. Michael Bernard Beckwith of the Agape Movement just arrived yesterday. He's going to be our guest presenter next week. Christian de la Huerta has been here all week this week. Kyle Cease was here last week. So a lot of great names come in, and you get to interact with them on an intimate level. Kyle Cease is now filling 2,000-seat theaters, and he's here, and there's 50, 60 people. So you can sit down and eat lunch with him. You know, you meet him on the pathways and engage in conversation. You know, this is one of the beautiful benefits of coming to this place when there's somebody here that you want to see. Greg Braden's coming. John Gray, who men are from Mars, women are from Venus fame. A lot of amazing speakers. So, you know, but not only that, then we've got programs. The key program, all right, I'm getting a lot of good hearts on that. Excellent. Keep them coming when you see something you like. Excuse me. But beyond the speakers, and you know, there's lots of classes. Jerry Powell, who's the owner here, teaches classes that shape your experience while you're here at Rythmia. I teach the breathwork classes, and which is why I give this Facebook Live, to give the breathwork perspective and the breath and ultimately plant medicine. These are the two ceremonial events that happen every night. 4 nights of the week, there's plant medicine ceremonies. 3 nights of the week, there's breathwork-oriented ceremonies. And they're both equally powerful in creating transformation in your life. So where can you get these? Right here at Rythmia. And if you want more info, call the 800 number above me. All right. Cool surfing pics. An aside, one of the great things about being here in Costa Rica is the weather, and the water is tremendously warm. I lived in San Diego for 25 years of my life, and I never learned how to surf because the water was just a little too cold for me. I'm a crybaby when it comes to cold water, so I don't like to spend a whole lot of time in there. But here the water's amazing, and I finally took my first surf lesson on Tuesday, and I went out yesterday again to start practicing, and it's going to be a new energetic pastime of mine. So come on down, especially if you're a surfer, and we'll go out surfing together too. All right. Love from San Diego, Catherine. Hey, great. And Janaea, the classes were all wonderful, and the breath work had a huge positive impact on me that I wasn't expecting. Thanks to you and Nicole. And Nicole is the fellow breath worker here, one who's a little bit more good looking than me. And but we both teach the work, and you're in good hands when you're with us. So back to what we're talking about then. So we've talked about, you know, the 3 ways that the breath work can, or that emotions come up. They leak out. You'll blow the whole pot open, or we can productively and systematically work them out. And in this pressure cooker analogy. And so, what is the pressure release valve in our system? That pressure release valve is the breath. All right, so it is our breathing harnessed to conscious breathing techniques, really rhythmic breathing, regulated, relaxed, full rhythmic breaths that will help bring up old, dredge up from the bottom the gunk that we've been storing for years and start to help process it. Now, let's see what I got as far as notes here. So that's how breath work works, and we're learning to have a new relationship with our breath, and learning then as we breathe, as we breathe more fully, we're breathing into all the nooks and crannies where all this energy is stored and hidden, and that's bringing it to the surface. Now, this is where the part where people get a little bit skittish, because temporarily we bring that emotional energy back up to the surface, meaning that we may feel temporarily some of these old feelings. So if it was a sad feeling that we suppressed, we didn't want to feel that, it comes back up to the surface, and now we're temporarily feeling it again. But again, I always stress this is the good news, because it means that the energy is in a place that we can work with it. If it's locked in the closet somewhere, locked in those plastic bags, we can't do anything about it, and it's it just starts to leak or builds up. But as we bring it to the surface, then we can start to process it. Now and this is the part where we've got to get better at feeling. We got to allow ourselves to feel it, and it's really both an intellectual process and a heart process at the same time. Because on one level, we're just dispassionately observing our feelings as they come to the surface. In other words, the more that we can just allow those feelings to be there and to look at them and say, that's sadness, I feel sad, and even allow yourself to cry and keep breathing with it, then you're going to move that sadness along. And it doesn't stay here very long. If you breathe through it, you ultimately integrate that energy, release the negative part of it, and reintegrate or recycle the neutral core of that energy. And this is the basic process. It's really very, very simple, and yet so profound. In fact, this is probably the most profound tool that we were endowed with upon birth, was this power to breathe. And the breath is our connection with our life force. And in that, we have everything we need. It's, to me, one of the greatest jokes played on humanity, that the greatest power that we have has literally been hidden right beneath our nose all our lives. And now that we're starting to learn these techniques of breath work, we can finally start to work with that power. This is us consciously learning how to become better, how to evolve in a conscious way by working with our life force energy, where first of all, dredging out all of the garbage. It's like doing a spring cleaning in your house, getting rid of all the clothes you haven't been wearing, all the furniture, other gadgets that you haven't been using. You clean all that out. Now you've got all this space for fresh new energy to come in. And this is, this essentially is metaphorically happening with the breath, and it's literally happening with the breath. With each breath we take, we're bringing in new, fresh, abundant energy, and then every exhale, we're letting go of what no longer serves us, the excess carbon dioxide and toxins that are coming out, and just letting them go. So again, as we do this, then we get better and better at feeling. We see these emotions that come up, and we're not so triggered by that emotional energy. And the triggering is just a reaction, some past association we've had with these emotions that makes us go into a fight or flight response. But if we can do this practice with the breath work and dispassionately look at the emotions coming up, then we start to see that we have a choice. We don't have to react in a certain way. We actually have a choice to respond in a different way, consciously respond. And this would be first to receive the emotion, to thank it, essentially, to distill the message out of it, and then release that energy, right? And this is a formula for a smooth flowing life. My company I call Breath Flow, because as I like to say, as your breath flows, so your life flows, right? So meaning if your breath is flowing fluidly, easefully, gracefully, your life tends to flow in a fluid, easeful, graceful manner. If your breath is stilted or caught, stuck, you're breathing shallow, or you're really tense in your breath, well, look at your life. Your life is probably shallow in its expression. It's probably tense. Things are difficult to accomplish. And so I always make the point that it doesn't mean when your life is smooth and flowing that you're not going to have challenges and problems. These are the things, these are the hills to surmount, to evolve in life. But what's different is the way that you meet those challenges, okay? So you're going to meet them with more ease and grace. You're going to find a way to flow around those big boulders in your path, or a way to diligently get through them, versus come to that boulder and just keep banging your head against it and crying, why me? Why is there a boulder in my road and I can't do anything about this? And, you feel stuck and feel helpless. So hopefully that helps out a little bit. Again, if you're getting what I'm saying here, go ahead and give me some hearts, some likes, all that. Well, I look at Leroy. I was in the first group of 2018. Yeah, right on, Leroy. Loved having you here. Janaea, the classes were all wonderful, and the breath work had a huge positive impact on me that I wasn't expecting. Thank you, and Nicole. And that's something we want to stress. Most people come here, they're familiar with, even if they haven't done it before, they kind of done some research on the plant medicine and are expecting those ceremonies. What's great about the breathwork is it's the unexpected ceremony. It's the, it's sort of like the little sister to the plant medicine in essence. People are all focused on the plant medicine. They're not even, expecting what happens in the breathwork. And I hear it so often that people get as much transformation out of the breathwork, or in many cases, even more transformation than they do in the plant medicine. So that's why Rythmia has both, is that, we really cover all the bases. So that's why our miracle success rate is so high. Right now, hovering around 93%. Can you imagine that? 93% of the people who come here get what they came for, get the miracle that they came here to receive. That's an unheard of statistic, really. That means there's only 7% who didn't necessarily get their miracle, but if you dig deeper into our stats, basically 96, 97% of the people are actually satisfied with their experience here, because mucho transformation happened while here. So even if they didn't get what they specifically came for in that 7% range, still another 4 or 5% of those people are still very satisfied with their experience here. It's a super unique place. It's not the place you're going to come to drink pina coladas on the beach. It's a place you're going to come to do deep inner work. It's the most satisfying type of vacation experience that you could possibly have. It's money well spent. It's not money that you're just squandering. It's money that's an investment in you. So that's what Rythmia has to offer. I'm proud to be here helping out. If you have any questions now, I'm pretty much coming to the end of what I had to say about the breath work and the getting better at feeling. I hope that concept really came through clearly. If there's any questions on it or any questions about Rythmia or breathwork or weather in Costa Rica or surfing, go ahead and type it in the chat bar right now, and I'll give a couple more minutes to just see if see what's going on. Let's see. Meanwhile, Reed, can you tell us how to work with you besides Rythmia? Yeah. So how to work with me besides Rythmia? The best way to do that is friend me on Facebook. Friend me, R. Christian Minson, the letter R. Christian Minson, which is my name. That's my Facebook profile. Friend me, but friend me specifically with a note that says, I saw you on Facebook Live and I wanted to know more about breathwork. And then we can carry on the conversation from there if you like. So I've been a breathwork facilitator and senior trainer for the last 11 years now. I've got a lot of experience with this. I've done seminars, week-long, weekends, day-long, all over the world, Europe, Mexico, Canada, of course, all over the United States. Kuwait is one of the greatest places I've been so far. Moscow, Berlin, Monaco. I've been to some pretty cool places sharing the breath work, because everybody needs it. And what I've noticed, one of the things, I went to Kuwait, so I breathed the first group of Middle Eastern men in the history of the Middle East came together to do this breath work. So I'm honored to hold that title now. And if there's ever a place that needed some emotional balance and stability, we could argue that the Middle East is high on the list, right? And what I've noticed there after breathing those people, one, they were all very receptive and very open, and that what I learned is that people everywhere are all the same. It's like we all suffer from the same challenges, the same self-doubts, the same, working, trying to express ourselves freely amidst the confines of our society, among the confines of our religions, among the confines of any overlay that we put over us. And then whether we're in the United States, whether we're in Canada, whether we're in the Middle East, whether we're in Europe or Asia, it's all the same. We have just different overlays that are limiting us, but the struggle is still the same, and the breath work can help us no matter what culture we come from. So Jason was saying I got a seminar in May in California. That's something you can learn if you connect with me more fully. And let's see, Jason's signing off. So bye, Jason. And Kathy, I've been holding my breath since I was a child, mostly due to competitive sport. Now, 46, I'm wondering, am I going to need a lot of breathwork training and to undo what I've done? Probably. You'd be, Catherine, if you can find my Facebook Live from last week, it was breathwork to enhance physical performance. So I looked at the physical side of it. That would be a perfect review for you and your question here. So check that out. If you have any questions after that, drop me a line on Facebook or tune in next week. Next week, I will be looking at basically, can breathwork replace meditation? So we're looking at the spiritual dimension ultimately. We've gone through the physical dimension, this week the emotional dimension, next week the spiritual dimension. So, Jennifer, thanks for another informative presentation. Thank you. My best presentation so far. Thanks, Shane. I attribute to finally, I feel very relaxed in this. As you can see, I mentioned in the beginning, we finally got our Rythmia Live studio fully up and running. We have dedicated internet, so I'm at 44 minutes, right about my end time, and we haven't had an interruption in the internet, so that really helps me to be able to focus on you and give give a more quality presentation. So thank you for that feedback, Shane. Debbie, thank you for bringing the wonderful live today. I appreciate you. And I appreciate you too, Debbie. And keep on, tune in to Debbie. Look Debbie Garcia up, and she does her own Facebook Lives on spiritual topics and otherwise. So all good stuff there. So for all of you out there who haven't been to Rythmia, definitely check it out, rythmia.com. Call the number above if you want more information, or you're definitely serious about booking. For those of you who have been here, keep up the good work out there as light workers and light warriors. Let me know when you're coming back again. It's always fun to receive people back, and we're definitely creating a family here. And the more people that return, the bigger and the bigger, but also the closer the family starts to feel around here. And we really pride ourselves in creating an environment that's safe, that's comfortable, that's you-centered, meaning we're really here to help you to achieve that miracle that you want to get. So if there's anything I can do to help you make that decision, feel free to reach out on Facebook to me. Otherwise, R. Christian Minson here signing off for this week's Facebook Live. We'll see you next week. Over and out.